And we are so excited to have you tonight. If you would just take over.
All right, it's my pleasure. I'm going into my 19th year full time with It Works Global. And because what attracted to me that Mark and Cindy are faith based and they're devout Christians. And that was something I was looking for. And I'll go back. I just want to tell you the love story. I met Miss Lackey in 1979, and I just got through practicing ball, went to my father's house, and my sister, she was best friends with her in school. And I'm a little bit older than her. And as soon as I sat down at my father's desk, I spun around his chair. I looked her in the eyes, and immediately I fell in love with her. And I followed her outside when her mother, or when she was getting ready to leave. And I said, I think I just fell in love with you. And she looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And she left. And I told my sister, I said, tell her I'd like to ask her out tomorrow. So my sister came home, and I said, well, did you ask her? She said, oh, yes. She went home and told her mother about that display of emotions you had yesterday. And I said, and I said, she said she threw up. I said, thank you, sister. I have 3 younger sisters. And I said, well, I'll take care of it myself. And so I went to her mother's house. I knocked on the door. I said, Miss Crowder, I'm the boy that fell in love with your daughter yesterday. I'd like to ask your permission to take her out. And she said, well, she really don't want to talk to you. I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Next day after ball practice, I went over. I said, Miss Crowder, I'm the boy that fell in love with your daughter 2 days ago. She said she still want to see you. I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. This went on for 4 days. And I finally looked at her mother. I said, look, Miss Crowder, I'm not like everybody else. I know exactly how I felt. And I have the rest of my life to beat the paint off beside your house. And I will show up here every single day. She said, well, she'll see you. And I've been with her ever since. And see, my father taught me to be a man of my word. And my father was a minister, so was my grandfather, 55 years each. And we were born on a farm in Virginia. So I know what it is to have that particular life. And so, but your honor and your integrity is in your word. And I remember once it come a big snow here. I live in rural North Carolina. We moved here almost 50 years ago from Virginia. And it come a big snow, it was knee deep. And I come home and asked my father for the keys to his truck. I said, I promised this person I was going to come over to their house for supper. And he said, you seen the weather, son? I said, yes, sir. I said, but when you told me to be a man of my word, the elements of the weather was not included. So you didn't tell me anything about that. He said, yeah, but I said, just give me the keys to the truck. I got to honor my word. And he looked at me and said, well, walking ain't crowded. And I looked at him, I thought he was picking. And so I went and I'm an avid hunter. I still hunt a lot. My daughters and got my Carhartts on, my hunting boots, my hunting gear, and out the door I went. And I looked back at him. I thought he's gonna come out and say, I'm gonna give you the keys to my truck. It was already about knee deep in snow, and he had opened the bay window and he was gesticulating wildly. And I thought, he don't believe I'll do it. Now this person lived 9 miles from my house, and I'm pretty in shape old boy back then, playing ball all those years. And finally I took off in a trot. And that didn't last too long. When I got the midway point was downtown Lexington, North Carolina, where used to be wooden phone poles, no cell phones. I didn't even know what that was back then. And no pay phones. And I got in front of the old courthouse, and I'm about to freeze to death. And I started thinking, I don't have no way to call him to come get me. I've got to walk all the way back. And I started focusing on what my problem was. And I was itching it. I was so cold. But then I started focusing on why I done it. There'll be a fire in the fireplace. This particular person's grandmother would have pork chops. It was Thursday night, homemade cat head biscuits like I remember on the farm in Virginia. And so the next 4.5 miles, I didn't feel the pain. And I got there, got in front of the fire. Everything was beautiful. It was warm. And about 10 o'clock, there was a knock on the door. And it was this person's uncle. And I said, well, I got to walk back. He said, you can walk back to your house? I said, yeah. He said, hey, I just bought a new CJ5 Jeep. I'll take you. I said, no, you won't. You'll really take me? He said, yeah, I'm playing in the snow anyway. Got about 200 yards from my daddy's house. I said, let me out. He said, no, I'll take you to the front door. I said, no, you're not going to let him know. I didn't walk over and walk back. And so I lay down and at the end of daddy's driveway, put snow all over myself and walked in his house. And I never told him that I didn't walk all the way back. And I've told you that story, guys, to tell you this. When things are serious and you know how you feel, you have to honor your word. So what did that get me by honoring my word that particular night? Here I am 42 years later. That same little girl's been with me all these years. I could have let the elements of the weather get in my way. I could have let all the adversity come and get in my way to stop me. So I just quit. I'll turn and go back. That's not the way I was raised. And so when I was sick, this girl was right by my side to help me through the sickness. And so finally, I asked this young lady to marry me, and she said, I do. And she didn't know it was going to be a roller coaster ride. And we lived in a little mobile home out in the middle of, way out in a rural county on a little plot of land I owned out there and amongst the fire ants and the sand spurs. And that was our little castle. And I remember 13 months later, I come home. She said, I got some news for you. I said, well, I got some news for you. My news ain't good, so you go first. She said, we're going to have a baby. And I got sick on my stomach. I said, a baby? She said, yeah. And she said, what's your news? I said, I just lost my job. Now, I wanted a big family. I come from a big family. That's what excites me is everything about family. And she said, I believe in you. So for the next 6.5 months, I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't find no work. I picked up beer cans. I mowed people's yards. I washed their cars. It's hot July. We know what it's about to have your lights turned off with no food for 3 days and no help. And I kept telling her, I said, one day I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire. I'm gonna take you places you ain't never been. She said, why don't you focus on getting some food in the house? We hadn't eaten 3 days. And so if any of y'all ever seen this guy that Ronnie and I work out with, his name is Steve Edwards. I've known him for over 40 years. And he gave me a job working in his daddy's factory, paying me under the table. And I made enough money the first day to get a 100-pound sack of pinto beans, get some gas in my truck, and get the power turned back on. And for the next 6.5 months, we had nothing but beans. And I have not eaten pinto beans in about 30 years now. I don't plan on starting tomorrow either. I had enough beans in my life. But I kept telling her I was going to be successful one day. I wasn't going to quit. And I got my first break in banking over in Washington, D.C. with Congressman Hunkin. I'm dyslexic, so numbers come real well to me. They come easy. Everything else comes a little hard, but I just won't quit. And the guy, the CEO of that bank called me because he knew my father. And he said, if you make it up here to DC, I'll train you. I said, I don't have enough money to get out of the county and don't have the clothes to wear at no bank. He said, I'll pay for all of it. If you pass the test, you got a job. Got to DC, passed this test really quick. And I went really to work because I wanted to prove to my wife she deserved a better life than the life I was currently giving her. All the stuff that come against us, I sucked it up and I worked through it, but I don't know why she stayed with me. So therefore, there is such a thing as true love. And so it took me 90 days to become the marketer of the year at that particular bank by figuring out systems to help them place products where they needed to and for merchants. And I've done real well, got tired of the long commute, ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm going somewhere with this story where in the next 3 years, I'll become the senior vice president of a major top 5 bank from the Federal Reserve. And now I'm in the big salary. But here's what I gave up. Now we got 2 little girls. I did corporate takeovers, mergers, and acquisitions. And now the very thing I swore I wouldn't do, I was doing it. I'd come from this poverty mindset and from being real poor to kindly making it. Now I had a chance to what I thought was really making it. And I'm chasing money. Just hard as I could go. I pride myself in outworking people and going to the next level. So now I'm sacrificing what's most important to me. This woman I love more than I love anything on earth. And there's 2 little girls she gave me. And I met Mark Pentecost because, see, none of y'all would be here if it wasn't for Robin. She's the one who found this little crazy applicator product back almost 20 years ago. And she called me in my office and she said, I found a product where I can lose 2 inches of fat in minutes. And I said, yeah, well, praise the Lord. I'm glad somebody found it. I played ball at Georgia Tech and I don't remember being able to lose inches of fat in minutes. And she said, no, there's a girl coming to our house on Friday and I'm gonna get rid of this 2 baby pooch. I said, well, good. And well, I was happened to be here on Friday when this young lady, Pam Souter, sent her over here. And she wrapped Robin's 2 baby pooch and my mother was here. She wrapped her chin and Robin lost 2 1/4 inches there in about 45 minutes. And I started laughing. I said, I understand about toxic bloat. I said, that stuff will be back tomorrow. Robin, don't get your hopes all up. That girl said, no, this stuff works for 3 days. And she's going to lose even more. I said, well, you have to be back in 3 days if you expect me to believe it. So I'll be waiting on you. She said, I'll be back. I said, Robin, you just lost my $25. You ain't going to ever see that girl again. We went on about our weekend. And Monday morning, the doorbell rang. I looked out the window. There's that girl. I said, oh, God, Robin, there's that girl. Get $25 more. She needs gas money today. And Robin was down just under 4 inches. I'm intrigued, excited, and here's what set me on fire. The next Monday night, they had what we used to do back then called rap parties, and she had 23 ladies here, and they all rapped. They all had major results. My house is full of women, full of food, and one girl brought in a white box of 12 bottles of wine. I don't know what it is about parties, wine, and food when they have rap parties. I don't see how they lost anything, and I'm actually making fun of it. But every one of those girls lost lots of inches and got excited. And that's when I seen a product that gave instant gratification without changing lifestyle. I knew when the first person really sunk into this thing could make a literal fortune. And so I got on the phone with Mark the next morning, and for the next 7.5 months, we talked every single day. Here we are 19 years later. We've missed 3 days and 19 years of praying every morning for all of y'all. 4:30 every morning. I get up at 4 o'clock every day. We pray at 4:30. Robin, Cindy, Mark, and I. And we pray over the company, we pray over each other. And here we are, still God blessing us. And the biggest blessing is yet to come. It's already materializing, whether you guys know it or not. Here it comes. Get ready. And so Mark said, you gonna join me? I said, no. If your company's that good today, it'll be that good if I ever decide to do it. And here's what pushed me over the edge, man. I'm mainly talking to you guys. As I come home one day, I'd started chasing money. The one thing I vowed I'd never do. I started chasing money and I was spending time. I was not investing my time. I was an overpaid slave working to a job. If you took me out of the equation, that means it all stops. And I come home one particular afternoon, I looked on my fireplace mantel, there was a picture of my 2 daughters and my wife. I said, what's wrong with the picture? I wasn't in it. They were playing sports. They were small kids, pre first grade and first grade. And that really struck me in the heart. And so I called my boss to fly out 3 hours late. And he said, no. And I said, why not? I just want to go see my 2 little girls get their awards. I've missed a Christmas church function. It was a no-no with my father. I missed everything. It's happened in their life. I just want to fly out 3 hours late so I can see them get their awards. I want to be in something. I've missed everything about them. He said, you have a job. And I looked at my 2 little girls. I said, I'll never miss nothing the rest of your life. Because men, I want to tell you something. If you have a skill set, it's entirely how you want to apply your skill set. If you've got it, it ain't who you work for. That it's not theirs, it's yours. And so I flew in on Sunday. On Monday morning, I drove over to the bank in Charlotte, North Carolina, which was about an hour and a half drive back then. I walked off in the man's office. And he said, why didn't you get on the jet? I said, because you were fired. He said, I'm fired. What does that mean? I said, well, it means I don't work for you no more. And he said, what do you mean you don't? I said, no, I'm done with you. I said, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. Last Thursday, when you told me because you said so, you made me realize what's most important to me. And it's not you. It's my wife and 2 little girls. I've sacrificed enough for you. By the way, that $550 a year you paying me, I'll tell you what you can do with it too. And see, I was chasing the money because that was more money than I'd ever seen, I'd ever made. But see, I sold out to it because we were once very poor. And now we're living a better lifestyle. But now what's most important to me, you're sacrificing. So I want to tell you, we do this together. If you're pushing yourself so hard that you're sacrificing what's most important to you, you're spending time, you're not investing time. And once you understand the compound of investing your money, your time, and especially the memories that you've got that you can make with your kids and your wife while they're younger, you better use your head, guys. You better get smart. Because me and Ronnie just found out today all the malls in the big triad areas filed bankruptcy, and there they're going to use them for online sales storehouses. That's pretty funny, isn't it? Go figure. Here we in 19 years, we got our own online business. And so I fired him. I walk out. I called my father, the Baptist minister, and I said, Daddy, I said, just quit my job. I said, I need you to do something for me. He said, you quit your job? I said, yeah. I said, I need you to run over to the house and tell Robin that I just quit my job. I need you to soften the blow before I get home. And my father had zero disrespect for women. He told me once, he said, if you ever touch her out of anger, he said, me and my uncles would come to deal with me later. And I believed every word they said. I don't know if they would or not. Perception's a big old deal when you implant it in somebody's head. But I wanted to be with her more than you can imagine. I want to be there with my kids. I didn't want to miss any more ball games. I want to be here when I took them to school. I want to be the one that we'd pick them up. I didn't want to miss any more school functions. I wanted to be in the memories. And so he wouldn't go tell her. He said I had broke the cardinal rule. I had a disrespect for my wife by not telling her before I did such a major. I made the major decision. So I'm coming up I-85 all the way to Lexington, North Carolina, across the Yadkin River, where Daniel Boone rode up down in the canoe. And I was listening to Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama. I don't know why I got that song. I turned it up, got the beat just right to create the ambiance, like when I played ball, get the adrenaline influence. I'd have the courage to come home and tell my wife what I just done. I backed in our driveway. They still tell me how sweet Alabama was. And I was thinking, well, I might have to relocate to Alabama in a minute. And so I come in to tell Miss Lackey what I did. She didn't believe me. I said, honest for God, I'm going to do that fat patch thing. And that's when my wife, and none of you guys can relate to this, that's when my wife became instantaneously demon possessed. And she started talking in an unknown tongue, and she started speaking a language and a vocabulary I didn't realize she had, and the green mist envelops the room. And I thought I was going to have to find a priest to have an exorcism here. So I went in my office, shut the door, and I locked it, and I called Mark. And this is where this thing really gets exciting. I said, Mark, you ready to do this thing? He said, yeah. He said, why? I said, I'm going to do it with you. He said, you kidding? I said, no, I'm going to do it full time. He said, full time, explain full time. I said, well, I quit my job this morning. You sold me a vision, and I'm not going to waste any more time away from my wife and kids. And for what you told me, if we hit this thing just right and we put a full effort into it, we can turn this to one of the biggest direct sales companies in the entire world. And he said, you quit your job. I said, don't you get candy on me now. It's time to go to work. I had a particular system in my mind, and it was just outwork everybody. And so we started on the phone. He and I and Pam Souter doing three-way phone calls, conference calls from daylight to midnight, 18, 20 hours a day for the next 28 consecutive days. We built the team that birthed you guys. It birthed Melody McFarland and birthed y'all. And we had 635 people. I think we made about $9,997 the first month. That wasn't nowhere near what I made as a banker, but I can tell you this, it was worth it. See, I didn't have to leave. My little girls would come down every day after school, and they bring little trays of peanut butter sandwiches and milk, and I sit on the floor with a headset on, talking to people, sharing, casting the vision. And I get to love on them, hold them, and I saw my little girls get confident. And every night about 10 o'clock, I'd pick them up, carry them up 2 flights of steps, put them to bed, tell them how much I loved them. And now my daughters are grown. They don't know no other way than mom and daddy both being here in their life every day. Every little problem they had, we were here. Every time something went down at school, we were here. Every time something they needed something, we were here. And say, here's how it happened. We burnt the bridge or the boat when we got to the island. There was no bridge off the island, so we had to conquer it. And I know you've probably heard that before, but this is a reality for us. Robin, for the first couple of years, she is kind of still mad. She was getting a lot of negative from my sisters, her sister, our mothers, so the so-called friends that still have jobs today. And she saw us going back to a mobile home with 2 kids and no food. I saw me making my break for freedom. And her and Pam Souter, they schemed up this deal where she'd sneak in and get her own position, and like I wasn't going to see it. And she got her own position, and she built herself the double diamond very quick and started coming after it. And that's when we started doing things together. And now, our team, all of you together in all these years, we're into the billions of dollars of sales. But see, I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm telling you that we're a team of impact. The people that we've impacted around the world, that we give hope again, that they see us working together, that we truly believe all these years later, we didn't have to go back and get no job. We didn't have to we did it right the first time. And when you talk about, I think we have 70 millionaires in our organization. When you talk about that particular, they say, oh, all that, no, it ain't about the millionaires. It's about those people have helped so many people. The mama that needs $400, the mama that needs $600, the mama that needs just a house payment. This team of impact, when you got people that's running after 7 figures, you have to directly impact other people before this thing happens. And so when you make up your mind, this is what we're going to do, there's absolutely nothing that can stop you from going to the next level except you. You're either in action, out of action, or missing in action. See, I always take the course, let's get the action going, and you work with the people who want to work with you. And you make up your mind where you're going is more important than where you are. And see, when I looked at my 2 little girls, I wanted to be a full-time daddy. But I didn't know adversity had hit once again. Second year into it, I started getting kind of sick. The next 4 years, I went from 258 to 750 pounds. I'm dying. They found a stress-induced tumor wrapped around my pituitary. and it caused all the massive weight gain. And at that point, I had to go through the next several months of some serious, horrible treatment. And when I come off of it, they got my tumor. I thought, wow, guess what? I'm gonna finally make it. And they gave me 6 months to live and gonna amputate both legs from the knees down. And so here I am. Now I'm like an invalid, and this beautiful woman, this my queen. See, if you think you're a king, you cannot effectively be a king until you have a queen, and you have to treat her as such. How do you stay with the same girl all these years? Well, you never get out of the honeymoon phase. You still tell her how important she is to you every single day. You mail her cards every week, and her daughters. You start training the kids. This is the way you have a lasting, meaningful relationship all through your whole life. And so you have to work at it. But we still have a lot of fun. We have date days and date nights, and we just sneak away from here. We just do it. And I like that random. Do you like the random stuff, Miss Lackey?
I do.
Yeah, tell about the random stuff, all the stuff, this craziness that we get to enjoy, this crazy life we got.
Hello. Oh my gosh. Well, y'all gonna hear my strong old accent. I'm just a country old girl.
Horse riding girl.
Yeah. But anyway, it's. Let me turn this just a little bit before I get in here. Okay, now there we go. It's been a crazy ride for the past 20 years, but it's been so worth it. And you know, mine and Rusty's love story, it just got stronger through the years, him getting sick and all the adversities we went through. But we didn't let that stop us. We just kept pounding forward. And like he said, when he first got in this, I brought the product to the table, and with the wrap, and getting introduced to it through Pam, through another girl, and trying it and everything. But I didn't realize this was going to be a product that my husband's going to look at, study for 7.5 months, and then decide to quit a job, a corporate job. The job I thought would set us free in life. And because we both came from nothing, his dad was a Baptist minister, and so we know how ministers' pay goes sometime. But anyway, he just got a break to do this crazy rap thing, got it in his head. I knew when I had that big old rap party, he was in the background talking to the host that night, and I kind of thought, well, what's he doing? I mean, he's really talking to this girl and talking to this girl and talking to this girl. And I should have known then that he was thinking in the back of his mind, he's going to do this business or do something with it. And sure enough, so he studied it, quit his job, come home, and we had to look back. And we couldn't look back because we had a huge old income to replace. I mean, when he come home and said he quit that banking job, I mean, he tells everybody I got horns on my head, and I somewhat did. I mean, I was upset. All I could see was us going back to where we came from and not going forward. Because you got to realize when we got in this company way back when, we only had 3 products. And so I just didn't see us doing it. I just couldn't see us making a living at it. And but he proved me wrong. He got in here full force and just went crazy. In the first 30 days, he put 600 and some people on his team. Him and Pam Sauer working around the clock. Voices lost their voices, couldn't talk. They're both eating lemons and drinking honey and doing all kind of crazy stuff. And I mean, they just stayed on the phone and worked and worked and worked till Rusty, he got 5 people who said yes, and then, you know, you just start multiplying it and duplicating it from there. And it wasn't that he did anything anybody else does. He just kept talking to a lot of people. If somebody said no, he didn't let that stop him. He just looked at that like it was not right now, and he moved on to the next person. And he just built that huge team in the first month, and it exploded from there for us. But our love story, it goes, like you said, it goes way back in high school, way back before then. And I come from a single parent home, so, you know, I wasn't really interested in having a boyfriend and all that crazy stuff in school, but I was best friends with his sister. And Rusty just kept on and on, you know, trying to ask me out, trying to get me to come and hang out at his house with him and his sister and her little guy friend. And so it just escalated from there. And I finally said yeah, and scared me to death, like he said, because like I said, it was just me, my mom, and my sister, and I wasn't interested. And we lived with my grandmother, and I never had a man in my life because my mom been single for a long time, so I didn't have a strong male figure in my life, and I wasn't looking for one. But anyway, God's got a plan for you, and sometimes, He has to show it to you and prove it to you that this is the path that you're going to take, and. But we just had this crazy love story, and a lot of people always want to know how do we still have this love story today? And there's adversities in our life, just like everybody else. But it's how you handle and look at things is what's got us to where we are now. And we have disagreements, we have little powwow arguments and things, but it's okay for him to have his opinion and me have my opinion. We both voice them and we get them out, and that's it. We don't walk off mad. We don't go off mad. We don't leave mad. We leave it there, and we just move on. And we just never let no stop us, and just kept driving and plowing for what we want. And I mean, we got a great lifestyle, and it's been a great ride. It's been a great ride. I mean, it put us home with my kids, and it brought Rusty home. I didn't quit my job in the first. I kept working. I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know. I don't know. But I just kept working, which I did like what I did at the time. And I've only been home from work 12 years, so I wasn't home all of the time. And but Rusty gave me my freedom to keep working, and because I had my career, he had his, and so but God showed me that He was going to bring me home, and this was where to be, and I haven't looked back, and it's been good.
Yeah,
I mean,
had a lot of fun.
yeah, we've had a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
I was asked earlier today, how do we make it happen? How do we fit it all in? Is we schedule our business like it's a job. We have certain things. We're big on making a daily plan of action, and we'll make one tonight before we go to bed. And we put, what are the 3 most priority things we're going to get done tomorrow? That goes on our priority list, and that's what we work on. And then when it's time to stop work, we just go do whatever we want to do. If we jump in the truck and want to ride to the mountains, or go to Florida, or jump in a jet and go to Europe, it don't matter. And we just kind of schedule it out. But when I need to do a 3-way phone call or conference call, all the trucks I buy, they're set up to handle everything that I need to handle. And I can always be in communication even while I'm traveling. But when it's time to cut the phone off and me and Robin have some fun, we turn it off. If it's that important and it can't wait till tomorrow, it's really not that important. It's not a 911. I don't deal in 911s. I deal in laying foundation to build something very solid. And so we run our own corporation here. Well, I guess once you hit the couple billion in sales, I guess they consider it whatever. We just do it from the kitchen table. But I kind of like this Zoom thing. So we haven't traveled as much this year as we normally do. And I'm kind of enjoying being here with her and the girls and my dog, and, just enjoying the home life and still making it happen at this particular level. And so, we have a great mutual love and respect for each other. If she wants to take the day off and go shopping with her sisters or daughters or whatever, just go. I don't care. As long as you're happy, I'm tickled to death. And so that's kind of like our attitude with each other. It's just that love, trust, that bondage she and I have. And I know everybody needs a little time away from each other. And so, we just we make sure, but then we have a lot of fun time together. We play in the islands down with Mark and them a lot, and we're going to really reconvene this summer, doing a lot of that stuff on the places we like to go. Or we over in Virginia riding horses down the New River, or whatever we decide to do. Or me and the girls, we're off hunting somewhere. But when it's time to get with business, we get with business. And we operate this just like I was the vice president, the senior vice president of the bank. We operated at that particular manner. See, as you go up the ladder in success, there becomes more responsibility. Every time there's more pay involved and you're going for the new level and the new raise, there's more responsibility that you have to put that time in. And so when you make up your mind, this is what we're going to do now. We have the ability to work for the next 90 straight days and never raise our heads up, and we do this thing together. But we have dream boards, we have visions, even the books that I write. I give all the proceeds of my bestsellers away to the sex trafficking of humans. And that those books aren't written for profit for us. They're written to want to inspire other people, tell how our story has evolved through the years and what it takes to really go to the next level. And therefore we're it's not really the go-getters that make it happen. It's the go-givers. It's the ones that gives freely to others, and whether it's giving your time or giving whatever resources you have to something that's important to you. And that's how we make it happen. But we're going to get two date nights or days a weekend, and I don't work on Sunday. We go to church and we celebrate with our parents. Our two mothers is all we have left, our daughters, and that Sunday's the Sabbath that we take it. And if I can't get it done in 6 days, then well, it just ain't gonna get done. But here's where the key is. You teach a duplicatable effort and you're there to back your people up, and you're always layering your organization with leadership. And you do things and you trust that person, they'll get it done. And then you're there to support them to get it done. And therefore, as they take on a little more responsibility, that is nothing more than setting them up and training them to become the next leaders, the next greats in your organization. And so it's based off of what that person wants and the willingness to show up. See, 90% of winning is showing up. The other 10% is be happy. It's just be excited about what you're doing. And if you gaining your freedom don't excite you, well, you need to have a job. You need to have 2 or 3 of those jobs. But here's where I want to talk to you about compounding your time. See, if you're investing your time, like tonight, I'm investing into this team, which you're my team, through Melody. And I'm investing this time into you. Y'all owe me an ROI. That is a return on investment. But here's what I love about it. Return on investment is an ROI. And so by us doing it, I hope I inspire you to the point that you'll go out and take radical, massive action to get to where you want to go. And see, it's all about the action. And whether you do it, built it like we did in the early days, you're on the telephone smiling and dialing, I call it, or are you utilizing social media? It's always in the follow up and the follow through that makes this thing happen. And self-development is the key. See, the higher you go in leadership, the more you have to develop this right here. Input, output. I'm an advocate for not only writing books, but I have a lot of mentors, and a lot of my mentors are through the books I buy from people I've never met that have actually mentored me through the words in the pages. And so when you make up your mind, and by the way, the all-time best-selling #1 book for business is Proverbs. It's in your Bible. Open it up, and when you start to read in Proverbs, that is the owner's manual. It will tell you how to run the business. And by the way, gentlemen, if you want to know how to begin to write love letters and write cards, I don't care if I'm in France, them cards are coming to my wife and daughters every week, or whether I'm local, is go to the Song of Solomon. That cat was slick. If you can understand how you get back into about the 3rd or 4th chapter and you start writing that stuff down, the way he puts in words, they say, how do you do it? I said, I don't know. I was born with it. No, it's a Song of Solomon. That guy was slick, man. And when you do that, but you got to do it out of a heart of love, it has to be meaning, and you put it in your own words, and it's impactful. And so, and then to be able to spend the time with them. So here I get sick and they send me home to die. They say, you got 6 months to live. And I'm sitting here all sad and legs all swole up, and the wound care center people coming, and my little girls are crying. Robin's tore up, and here in walks my father, my hero of all time. He lifts my big old leg up where I had all this extreme lymphedema. He looked at the bottom of my foot. I said, what are you doing? I'm done. He said, well, I was looking for expiration date. I said, like going to the store, looking in the dairy expiration. He said, yeah, you ain't got one. He said, well, I'll see you. He ain't never left my house that quick. And I started thinking about that. The next morning I woke up, me and God had a fight all night long. And I told my daughter, I said, come here, I'll tell y'all something. I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. They just gave me 6 months to live, like I told you yesterday. I said, but I'm not going to die a victim. I'm going to be slinging and swinging in the front yard. That's when we brought our first line of good nutrition on. As far as the greens and all the stuff we have now, and there's no reason for you to be sick of any kind. Because in the last 15 years, I've lost 507 pounds, not counting the 8.6 I lost off the gummies and the skinny tea in the last 3 weeks by showing up every day. I've missed 3 days of working out in 15 years. I got some of my workout partners on the Zoom tonight, and we go at it every day. That is when I get up at 4, I get my stuff done, and I'm off to my health club. and we go at it hard, and we work out with pro bodybuilders. And the reason we do it, because I want them to push me to the next level, but I want to get just like them. See, if you're not pushed to get stronger, you're going to automatically by default get weaker. And so I want to be in the environment of people that's helping me go to the next level. It's making me stronger. It's kind of like in leadership. You want to be around the people that say, what are you doing to make it happen? All you got to be is in action, not missing in action, but be in action. That means you slinging and swinging. So I told my little girls, I said, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but see, y'all never have to ask me to get up and do what's right, because I don't no longer want to be a liability to this family. I want to be an asset. And so now that you know we all owe each other an ROI, that's a return on investment. That means if you're inspired enough to go and you start to make things happen for yourself, y'all have to get paid first before it comes up to the rest of us. And therefore, we're willing to invest the time. So you got to let us know what you want or what you need for us in order for us to help you. And so when you make up your mind, and we all work as a team for Melody, I could actually get Mark on this Zoom if I really call and say, I need you now, because Mark is our sponsor. And so when you make up your mind, we're going to do it for the love of people. I want to help more people get free. I want to help people get out of the stress of debt. I want to teach you how to invest your time. See, anytime you're working with somebody, you're making an investment. The investment is your time, and you're going to get an ROI as you help that person succeed. Their return of investment comes right back up. And I promise you, if you've got a job, ain't nothing wrong with a job, but you need to be working with your wives and working your way out of the job to get to a particular point. See, if I can do it for all these years, you can do it too. See, it's better now. See, I did it off the comp plan. I didn't have no bonuses. I didn't have no coding money. I didn't have none of that other stuff that you're all privy to now. And so, but when you make up your mind, my wife is worth it, my daughters are worth it, and I'm worth it. And when you make up your mind, I'm going to pick up the pace. I don't care how many no's I get tomorrow. I'm just looking for the yes, because I've got people got in touch with me in the last 2 months that told me no for 13 years. But they followed us because we never quit. Anybody can quit. And quitting is nothing more than a social learned behavior. And anytime you come home, or if you come home from your job, you should be working harder on your future and becoming an entrepreneur and breaking yourself away from that just overpaid, that mental plantation. See, they taught you to get a job so they could pay you, and at the end of the month or the week, they give you a check and you sign it and go get it cashed, and you just did, this is all I'm worth. See, you signed it. And so when you make up your mind, I am worth more than this, you start to work your way out of a job. And so when you make up your mind, I'm going to work my way out of it. But see, when people are going to see something different, when I work my way out, I ain't looking back. See, I'm going to take this pen and I'm going to rewrite my comeback story. I'm going to write my future. I'm going to write a blockbuster. And I'm not going to look back in my history, because those are nothing but social learned behaviors. And most of them are generational curses that have been passed down through the generations in your family to you. You've got to break the curse, and you start breaking it by making a stand. I'm going to break the curse now, and I ain't looking back. And baby doll, me and this woman, we locked arms, and together, back to back, we locked arms, and we come after this thing. And you know what? We ain't look back, and we ain't gonna start looking. And we hungrier today than we've ever been. There's more people need you today than than's ever needed you to show up. Somebody's waiting on you right now to pick up the phone, to get off for your ever expanding posture, watching that news or that sitcom designed for the mentality of a 6-year-old. And when you're doing that, you're wasting time. You're not investing time. Anybody can sit down and say, I've worked so hard today. No, it's the leaders that do the things that other people won't do today. And therefore, tomorrow you'll get to live like they wish they could. I just told my brother-in-law 3 weeks ago, I said, look, I'm going to be on the jet in the morning. I'm going to Florida. I got to go down there and sign some papers for about 3 hours. I'm flying back. You want to go with me? He said, I said, oh, that's right. You still got a job. You should have come with me 19 years ago when you told me I was a fool for quitting the bank. Now, all you can see is that salary and that acronym after your name. So-and-so, senior vice. What does that mean? That means that I'm sacrificing my children. I'm sacrificing the woman I love most. I'm sacrificing everything I got for a couple coins on the mental plantation. See, get an education, get a job, go right into slavery. Get a business, go to work real hard, go right into your freedom. See, there's nothing more than that compound of, see, I got paid all that little bit of money back 19 years ago. Would y'all like to have the compound of that first month? Because I ain't missed a check in 19 years. And it's compound, and it grew a bunch. I think we made the first 1,042 months. I ain't saying that to brag. There's a lot of people had to make a lot of money. And then you know how fast the next million comes, just like that. I didn't even know there's $1 million in the world that I could see at one time. But when you make up your mind, you deserve it. Here's how that goes. It ain't so you can brag and buy all the big houses and go, no, I got a nice house. I custom built this in 20 years ago. We love it. Got some pretty nice old trucks, some Suburbans and some Denali's or whatever. They fit us real good. My dog rides up there right beside me, my big German Shepherd. When you see me going through town, old Duke's paws up his head, like we listen to country music. That's just the way it is. But you know what? When you make up your mind, you're gonna help enough other people gain their freedom. You only secure your freedom. You stop having the liability mindset that you're teaching to your children. I promise you, them kids are watching everything you do, and you're instilling the fears or you're instilling the strengths in them. And if you claim to be a Christian at all, you've got to exercise your faith like you exercise your muscles, like you exercise your table manners, like you exercise anything. Because when you go out and walk in faith and you start to speak it, God said he will give you everything you ask for. And when you ask for it, I told a lady at our church the other week, I said, look, you've been praying on your knees about this one little thing since I was 9. I'm almost 60. You need to get off your knees. They look like camel knees. They're big. God ain't going to listen to your commanding prayers. You got to put the action to it. That's where people, well, my God, if I was your God, I told this lady, he said, he's blessing me. I said, no, it sounds like he's judging you. Because you're praying commanding prayers and you're just hoping that he can rub him like a little genie and you just clutch it. That ain't nothing to that. See, I'm a preacher's son. I was raised in this. When you put the action to it, I'm talking massive radical action. He'll release massive radical blessings on you that it'll create a legendary legacy for your great-great-grandchildren. And it's all entirely up to you. See, it's entirely up to you. If you sit here tonight and you're not making a list of people that you're going to contact in the morning and share something, they're waiting on you to share it. When you pray that particular prayer, God, send me the right people that I can bless today. You know what begins to happen? The blessings coming, because every single day, does it not? Somebody brand new shows right up in our life, like, wow, that ain't us. Where did that come from? Well, I know exactly where it came from. It was a prayer, but also what put us in action, and that released the blessing for us to meet that person at the right time. It's happening almost every day in our life. And we have not done nothing compared to what we're going to do. See, I know Mark a long time. For what he's already laid in your laps, there's so much money there. That's $1 million a month right there. And I am pretty decent with the math, but what he's going to lay on you in this summer, in the spring training, it's going to be mind blowing. Some of you are going to have to go to bed for 3 days after he tells you. But you know what? When you make up your mind, I'm going to work it hard now, because that little girl right there, Maria's little girl sitting there, that little girl deserves her mama to get up and her daddy to get moving. She deserves, oh, I love my kids. I'd do anything for my kids. Really? Will you? Will you stay up to midnight working the time zones, working your business so you can set your kids free, so you can put them in a position that the mom and daddy ain't struggling in debt, so you can take them out of that mindset? This ain't the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to be. God said, "Oh no, man, nothing. Be the lender, not the borrower." So you're setting up the future for your children by the actions you're taking now. So you're either sitting around hoping it's going to happen, wishing it's going to happen, or you're making it happen with a specific finite plan of action. That means finite means it has to end. Tonight at midnight, our finite plan of action ends. But our infinite plan starts in the morning. That means it's no limits to infinite. And when you make up your mind, I'm going to set the goal so high, it's going to scare the holy bejeebers out of me and her. When I look at the vision board, we're going to get scared to death. But I tell you what, bring your kids in there and let them help you dream. Because most of you lost your abilities to dream. What did you want to be when you're 6, 8, 9, or 12? What kind of superhero was you going to be? What kind of this was you going to be? And exactly what did you sell the dream for? How much did you sell it for? $50,000 a year? $30,000 a year? $100,000 a year? That's awful cheap to sell your dream, because it's your life. See, you got just but a short period of time on this earth. And every day you're wasting, every minute you're wasting, it ain't your time, it's God's time. He gives you so much to get done. And if he was done with you from living up to your full potential, you would have died this morning. You would have never woke up. But see, you did wake up. See, I'm sitting here looking at you. And so now that you're going to wake up in the morning, there's a couple things I want to leave you with. Number one, you got to take care of your physical well-being. That's very contagious to your children. And when you start to take care of your physical well-being, then you'll start to take care of your emotional well-being. You'll start to take care of your finances. You end up working your way out of debt. You know what? When you wake up, you don't owe nobody nothing. It's a good feeling. Somebody can't come take you home. They can't tell you what to do, when to do it. And I'm going to tell you what, once you get debt-free, you work even harder than you ever have. You know why? Because you're putting a lot of distance between you and what used to be. If you continue to live in you used to be, you know what's going to happen? You'll never get past what you used to be. That's who you become. Me and Ronnie got through working out the other day. I stopped to fill my truck up with gas. And there's 2 old boys I went to school with. They was digging under the seats for some change. They was buying a 12-pack of beer. They said, "Are you Rusty Lackey?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." I said, "I remember y'all." Hey, he said, "You want to go down to the lake with us? And we're just going to drink a few." I said, "No, I don't drink." I said, "That look like that particular life's been real mean to y'all. And y'all was digging under the seats just to get enough to buy 12 so you can what? You can magnify your problems and then leave me worse tomorrow than this today. That ain't working for you." I said, "Y'all look in the mirror lately? Y'all was a great under me. Jesus. Y'all need some help. Get out of that mindset." But see, well, my daddy did this. My mama did that. I'm very thankful for my mom and daddy. Didn't have a lot of money. My father said, "I believe in you. God will bless you to the magnitude of the efforts you put into it." I wanted my kids to have more. I want to live this life that I'm living with this lady right here. She excites me. Still living in the honeymoon phase. They said, "What does that mean?" To get up to wake up beside the woman who took care of me when I was done. I could have let the elements of the weather get in me when I walked in the snow to go see her. When it got so cold and I was itching and all those elements of weather was coming against me, I could have just easily quit. I thought about it, going back home. Anybody can quit. It takes a real leader and a real man to go after what he really wants. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I can never do enough for her right now, guys. Every one of you can never do enough for your queen if you're a king. If you're a whiner, you're not quite made it to kingship yet. You need to come to one of my classes where we take you out in the woods and we rearrange your thinking. I ain't joking. And so when you make up your mind, you treat her like a queen, she'll treat you like a king, and therefore you'll set the standard for your kids. See, I got a daughter that's getting married this year. And I told the little boy, he's proved himself. I said, "Look, son, my daughters are the most important things in my life. And if you ever bring her home, there's an eyebrow out of place, I'll know it. Because that's my baby girl." I said, "I'm going to take you up on that farm we have over in Virginia with all them horses I told you about. And I took you up a riding. I dug a hole deep enough for 20 bodies. I got room for 3 more. I don't care how you get there." He looked at me, he said, "You'd really do it?" I said, "In a flash." No, I'm not sure if I would or would. I probably, you mess with my little girls, yeah, I probably will. It's just a perception. Same thing my daddy put in my mind. If I ain't good to her and treat her, I said, if something happens to her, you better be dead when I get there. If not, it's on the way. I promise. It's the perception, but it's all the love that you can divvy up. When you let people know that you unconditionally love them, that they don't owe you nothing for your love, that's true unconditional. It's kind of like when Christ died on the cross for us. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine what he went through for us? Can you just imagine? You tell me that ain't unconditional love, I don't know what is. Can you imagine somebody laying your life down for your wife, for your kids? Can you imagine that I'm gonna get up every single day and I'm gonna put a full effort into this because my wife and kids deserve to be free as well, not by themselves, us as a family, that unit. Unified unit. There can nothing break a unified unit. Satan can't come against it. Oh, he can try, but he'd rather mess with the people he can mess with, not with the guys that are strong. But when you make up your mind, I'm coming after this, I'm going to make my break for freedom, and I ain't looking back. You know why? She deserved it. Them 2 little girls that called me daddy, and I said, "And my baby girl, they deserve it." All this life we've lived all these years because we got up and we did the things other people wouldn't do because, oh, that don't work. No, when you say that don't work, I know it's because you won't work. Or you're gonna make a whole bunch of excuses. And I'm getting my system ready. You just wait, and I'll have it ready in a couple more weeks. Well, next thing you know, you're 65 years old. You ain't got a couple more weeks. And see, when you make up your mind, you're gonna become a person of impact right now. Can you imagine the impact you're gonna make on other people? Can you imagine the relief you're gonna give them when you can show them something that creates what? Self-worth, self-accomplishment. You talking about an adrenaline. I told the guys at the gym today, I said, I like to get high. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I love getting high. To see that high I get on life. That's getting up every morning, accomplishing things, making an impact on other people. See that? I don't need any alcohol or drugs to get me high when I'm high on life. When I wake up with a plan of action, I'm talking to my maker early every morning, and we start to pray with Mark and Cindy every morning. And the things that are spoke over y'all and prayed over this particular, the entire company and the industry. Can you imagine the impact you're making right now? I ain't met one person yet that died for nobody else that I'm aware of, unless it's our soldiers on a foreign soil. That's why I love America. Can you just imagine? I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to be done. about unconditional love. Now, some of you old guys, I'm looking at you, and you girls, you say you love your kids, and you'll do this and this. And right now, it's all lip service. I went and looked at those numbers a while ago just to see where we are. I'm really proud of y'all. God, I'm proud of y'all. But see, I'm the fourth generation firstborn in my family. My grandfather fought with General George Patton in the Second World War. And he was showing me all these medals, all that stuff that I get by being the firstborn. And got to the last three medals. He's telling me all he did and how unconditional love was the fuel. And he got to the last three medals. He didn't want to talk about it. No, Granddaddy, I'm the firstborn. You got to tell me. Then he told me how he had to kill people. All the ways he had to kill people to earn the medals with his hands, with blowing things up, with shooting. And now I'm confused because I'm only about 5. I said, you said unconditional love. He said, that was my fuel, son. He said, for the love of your grandmother, the love of your daddy, he said, I knew you was going to be here one day. He said, I put it all on the line because I knew you were coming. I put everything I had on the line. My whole life was on the line. And I become a warrior. I took the fight to the enemy. I didn't wait for the enemy to come to us. So I want to close with this. If you're truly serious about your life and living the life you want and the life it was designed for you, not the one you're living, the life it's truly designed for you, take that unconditional love and let that be your fuel. And for all you hold dear and sacred in your life, one day you got grandkids coming. One day you got some more kids coming. One day they're coming. And for everything that's coming in your future, you got to put it all on the line this very second. Can't wait till tomorrow. Hell, you've been doing that all your life. You got to engage. You got to take the fight and the war to them. You help that person take the fight to their health. You take that person, help them take the war to the debt. You start to eliminate those health problems. Because I just had a full physical. If any of y'all saw my social media, that little black girl, little doctor of mine, I ain't had an aspirin for a headache in 14 years. I ain't been sick with the cold not once. Thank God for greens, reds, and celery. And exercise. Yeah. You got to get up and condition yourself to win. You physically condition yourself. You do that because you love your wife and your kids so much. Because I don't want this poor girl having to take care of me again like I was an infant. There's things when you get that large that you can't do for yourself, guys. And ain't a man I know is going to want your sweetheart to do that for you. Ain't going to never happen again. You know why? Because you don't have to ask me to get up and go. But guess what happens now? Not only do her and my daughters, not only do I go, they go with me most of the time. And we're going back in the evening and do it again. So this is a family thing to stay healthy. You know why? Because I know one day, probably since my daughter's getting married in the next couple of years, I'm going to have a grandson. I ain't ever have a son nor a brother. I know he's coming. God almighty, I know he's coming. So I'm willing to help you put it all on the line right now. You got my private phone number. I'm willing to help you put it on the line, and I'll take the war to it so quick it'll make your head spin because I know he's coming. That makes sense. So all that I hold dear and sacred in my life, I know he's coming, and I'm willing to wage war on it right now, and I'm not letting up. I've just got started. 19 years has just been nothing but a training ground. Now we're ready to go make this thing happen, and I'm very blessed that you're part of my family, that you're part of my team. I'm very blessed that I get to be on this Zoom with you tonight. I'm very blessed that we're going to make this thing happen together. Back to back, we're going to help you take your life to the next level. But we got to engage together. We got to become unified. Guys, I love you. You matter to me. Anybody have any questions?
Oh my goodness. This has absolutely been amazing. I see the comments, people talking about how inspirational and awesome it was. If you're not fired up right now, you guys, like I'm ready to get on the phone and call like 100 people. I'm used to messaging. Rusty has me pumped up about getting out my cell phone. Well, so good. Thank you so much. There were several things, but I love whenever you said that when you got to the island, the bridge was burned. There was no way to get off the island. There was no other option. Whenever you give yourself no other option and you just push yourself out, like there's no other option. It's just, we've got to do this for our freedom and for our family. I love it. Everything was so good. I've got a page full of notes right here. I love all of it. Does anybody else have any questions, or if you want to leave anything in the comments, let him know. Any aha moments that you have, you guys drop it in there and let him know. But I love that 90% showing up, 10% is being happy about it.
Yeah. And hey, Rusty, just from a guy's perspective, thank you for showing us, because a lot of times there's this persona that it may have been touched on earlier, that this is a woman's industry, a woman's business. But you've stepped up, you've shown how to lead like a man, as a man, and how to take that king role and rock it. So I thank you for your time and for being vulnerable and opening up. It's inspired me immensely. And I know all the other guys here, if they didn't hear it now, they're going to get the recording and we're going to make them listen to it. So like you said, your time has been that ROI.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. That ROI is a big deal, because if your children grow up and you're still in debt, they're going to incur the debt. It becomes a way of life. But if you come up being debt free and teaching them more about money, teach them about how we spend our time, and teach them who to spend the time with. You spend the time with the people that don't waste your time. You invest the time in people who invest that don't waste your time. I got a very select few friends. I can count them on one hand. We invest into each other, but we always get in return. And so when you make up your mind that my kids are worth me becoming an astute investor, well, now my children invest their time wisely. And if I got you thinking about the compound on your time, that's the only currency we really own. They ain't making them. We make all the money we want. Money is just a byproduct of how you invest your time. And when you teach them how to invest it correctly and wisely, they're going to do I don't care what you tell your children. You can tell them anything you want to, and you can be really good at it, harsh at it, soft, but they're going to duplicate your efforts. You can't fool a kid, and the kids are the most honest human beings on earth. As you get to become adults, we're the ones that start living the lie. Anything you tell that's not 100% true is just normally just a lie. So you can't lie to those kids. They know, they see your actions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so, guys, you're at a place right now, I promise you can ask Mark. If this wasn't the deal to be in, it's going to get us the biggest return on our investment of time and our resources. I'd be talking to you something else. You know what? There's a company, three companies in the last 2 years offered me and Robin $1 million to leave. I said, $1 million? You're kidding. I said, can you afford to pay that at one time? I said, I need to ask you something else. Who told you that my integrity was for sale? Huh? I'm going to leave Mark? Mark. He paid me a couple times when he didn't have the money till he sold his house, so I got paid. I ain't leaving Mark. Not happening. And by the way, if I did bring our organization with customer base about 1 million people, I said, if I start calling the leaders and I start bringing it over here and say, we clog your software up in about 24 hours, we kill your manufacturing in 7 days, you're out of business. So be careful what you pray for. This is $1 billion outfit within $1 billion outfit. And so anybody can sell out. If I sold out for $1 million next week, I'd sell out for 50 cents. That's how you devalue yourself, how quick you lose value. But when you stand up and you make a stand and you take a stand and God is in it and you walk it in faith and you're doing the necessary radical, massive action, I don't know. The only problem that I see that y'all got is you ain't dreaming big enough. So when you start to dream bigger, you start to get in action bigger. You got to dream past, I'm behind on my debt or the credit card. You got to dream past all that. You got to dream on things that you can pull off the dream board and you can accomplish. I used to dream about going to this island. Dream about it. Now it's been up to last year. Me and my kids have been, and wife and our top leaders have been spending a quarter of a year in that same island. I like it down there. Ain't many people down there bother me. I kind of like Jimmy Buffett music, sitting under the umbrella of my feet in the warm sand. I like to see to the bottom of that ocean, all the way to the bottom for hundreds and hundreds of yards. I like to watch my daughter surf and stuff up and down the island. Kind of like that life. And as cold as it's been up here, I was telling old Ronnie today when he was working out, I said, you know what? I can feel my feet in the sand now. I said, if this old governor of North Carolina don't hurry up and get things, I'm moving down there with Mark. He's been wanting us to come for a long time. But see, what I want you to do tonight is get on your knees and thank God that you are where you are. And be sincere about it. Ask Him for the direction and the right people to come into your business, come into your life. Ask Him to take away the people that's going to waste your time. It's not going to allow it. It's going to take your investments and waste it. Those are the people you don't need. And you'll find they'll be the ones that give you the biggest advice. They're always going to get it done. And I got this done. Well, how'd that work for you? Well, they always got an excuse. They kind of like they went deaf and dumb. They can't hear or speak no more. Once you ask, let me see what it did for you. They always got good advice. They just can't apply it to their own life. So if you're going to take advice, take it from Mildy and Blair McFarland. Yeah, I take it from him. Take it from Mark Pentecost. Take it from Cindy. Take it from Cammie. Take it from me. We already done it, but we're just beginning to what we want to accomplish. Take it for people. The more you accomplish, the more you want to accomplish. See, it's not about the money. Some people, well, y'all made it. It ain't about the money. I need to make another $1 billion myself. You know why? There's some missionaries that are in my family, my cousins. They ain't got clean water over in the foreign countries right now. That I need to make some more money so I can help put some clean wells over there. See, it's what you do with the resources and what your plan is for the resources. And here, I'm gonna tell you this, and we'll be done. You can't outgive God. He owns it all anyway.
It's true.
It's the go-givers that make it happen, not the go-getters. And I don't care if you're not. Now, don't take me as overly religious because I'm liable to say anything to get your attention. I come from a banking background. I didn't come from the church. I'm the only guy in the family that ain't a minister or a missionary. So if I can get your attention, because I've been seeing some kids pop up and down in these with these ladies up here. If I can get your attention and spur you just a little bit to go make it happen for those children I just saw, better bet I'll do whatever I got to do to get you seeing your own value. So when you see your value, you'll start to invest. You won't waste any more time. See, if I'm gonna waste any time, like I'm gonna waste some tomorrow. Me and this girl right here, we're gonna go to her favorite restaurant in a couple of cities over yonder way, and we're gonna sit there for hours and just enjoy conversation, meaningful conversation with the woman I love most. And you know what I like about it? I told my daughters, you know what I like about y'all not being here during the day now? They said, what's that? I said, me and her just spend all this time by ourselves over at that favorite restaurant. I ain't even got to buy y'all supper. So I just make it a lot of fun. And now my daughters want to really go. And so, yeah. Any of y'all got daughters?
Absolutely.
How many daughters you got?
We've got 2 girls and we got a little boy.
I got 2 girls. I hope I get a grandson out of this deal. But you know what? When I send their mother a card every week, I send them one. Every day I let them know how much I love them. You know why? Because therefore they raise their standard, and they won't have substandard guys that come over here that you mess with my kids, that hole in the mountains of Virginia. That's not a lie. That's not a joke. You mess with my daughters, you ain't gonna worry about a courtroom. You'll never make it. That's a fact. But see, if I help my daughters set the standard of how I treat their mama, that's what the way they expect to be treated. And then they know they got us to back them up. That's exactly what I wanted to get done in my house. If I do it correctly the first time, and all my failures, I ain't like I'm perfect, by no means. But if I help them set that standard, you don't go substandard. That'd be like between going to the restaurant, I'm taking her on date day tomorrow, or going to Subway. I ain't going to Subway. Not a chance. They don't have that kind of food at Subway. So that's the standard you want to set right now. And when you start to set that standard higher right now, well, y'all think y'all better than everybody. No, we don't. It's just the way we chose to live life. And when you set that standard, guess what begins to happen? You don't have to deal with all that other crap that comes along with the other life. Ain't that something? Can you imagine? And when you go after and break for your freedom, you know what that instills in your children, the entrepreneurship program mindset. And you know what happens? They want to be free too. And you're going to teach them right now how to invest their time wisely, how to read more books. See, I can tell by most people, if I walk in your office and see how many books you got on the shelf, you can look at your library and tell how you're self-developing. And you know what? Every time I buy one book, I buy 3. You know why I buy 3? I give my daughters one. And y'all help me read it. I'm dyslexic. I read a little slow. Y'all help me. I want to see what y'all got in the first chapter, and let's compare notes. That become a way of life a long time ago. You know why? Because I want them to able to take that leadership position, because one day it's going to be over for me when I'm about 150. And they're going to have to take my business over and run it like we run it. And I want them to take it to that next level. I want to take anything I've ever accomplished, their mother now, and this team, I want them to take it to the next level with y'all's children, y'all's grandchildren. That we set the stages right now. Say, I can see this right now. You get your favorite cabin in the mountains, and your big fireplace. There's a big picture of your fireplace. It's you sitting on a big old white horse with a double barrel shotgun over your side. It's a big painting of you. And there your great grandchildren said, look at my grandfather, my grandmother standing on that big horse. Because of them, we get to live life like this. I know families that get to live like that. And you know what? Why should they and not us? Well, we can. This is the most streamlined business model I've ever looked at. I own the chain of grocery stores. There's a lot of things I've done in my life. But direct sales, I wish somebody showed this to me the day I left high school, because I'd have never went nowhere else. Because this is one of the most perfect business models I've ever seen. You know why? Because you can become profitable in the first 2 hours. You're operating on profits. My grocery stores, it took me 5 years and 10 grocery stores to get to where I was operating, where I owned it, where I was profitable. Not salary, but profitable. Ain't that something? Then I had 200 employees, always stealing, thieving, and laying out. God, nobody wanted to work, even back then. So I don't know. Like I said earlier, the only thing I can realize here is your dreams ain't big enough. Because when your dream gets big enough, you'll go down the road in emotions. And here's what I did. I cut pictures out of my 2 little girls, and I put them on the refrigerator, put them in the bathroom mirror, and I put them on the steering wheel of my truck. And every time I felt like saying, oh, God, hey, it ain't easy to win. It ain't easy to win at the higher level. But when I looked at them 2 little girls, they're my little girls. I told them what I was going to do, and I'm not about to lie to my children. And I would get another spurt of energy, and we just go after it. So you find out what your emotional trigger is for your why. And I bet your production before the end of this month will go up so much you won't even believe who you are or where you are. When you put that kind of action in, you don't have time to make an excuse as to why you can't get it done. And I know right now I'm watching you, you're thinking of preachers or other people that you know that need you. Yeah, preachers need it too. I got a good one. I swear to God, this is the last one. I had this preacher want to talk to him about my business about 3 weeks ago. And in my little town over here, I got 2 gas stations and 1 McDonald's. And he said, I said, well, I don't eat their food, but I will drink their coffee. And they wouldn't let us in the place to eat. So I said, just jump my truck. We'll go through the drive-through. I got a cup of coffee. He got 2 of them big sandwiches, a large fry, an apple pie, and a large drink. And I'm looking at him. We pulled over and he said, Brother Rusty, will you ask a blessing over this good food? I said, no, sir, I won't. I said, don't use God's name in vain. He looked at me and said, I didn't ask you that. I said, no, you asked me to pray, and you know that nothing in that bag is good for your body, for the temple. I said, what does your members actually say? Look, when they see you on Sunday with your belly pushed over your belt and you ain't taking care of the temple, and I see you now, you're guilty. You've been caught. He said, I never thought about it like that. I was only joking. He got out of my truck and he threw it in the garbage can and wouldn't even eat it. I said, well, there's a start. There's a commitment. You just made a bag of poison you just bought. You just made the commitment. Now let's see how much you show up with that commitment. Now follow up and follow through with that particular commitment. And when he started thinking about it, now he's on track. He's a big customer anyway. And I didn't do it because I want him to be a customer. I did it because I wanted to make sure that his children could have a daddy that lived longer than mine did. See, I sat in the hospital with my father for 37 days with kidney failure. I never left his side. Now, if I'd been working at the bank, they'd have made me go back to work, or I wouldn't. I'm just bullheaded. But I saw my 3 sisters get commanded back to work when I'd have went to work and tore the office down. I held my father's hand 37 days. On time I let it go is when I got to go to the restroom. And I sat there because he was my hero. And he come off of life support for 3 days, and we had this great conversation. And then he got my coccal pneumonia in the left lung back on life support, and I had to unplug it. So things mean me a little differently, or I take it differently than most people. See, I've seen both sides of the coin. Taking care of you is the biggest responsibility you got. So your kids won't have to do what I had to do for my father. Would I do it again? Yes, sir. I'm not complaining about it. But see, we have everything we need to be extremely healthy, because you're going to pay for your health one way or the other. You'll pay now, or you'll drastically pay later. If I could get him back, you would not believe what I would do for him, because he was my hero. And so, but to be able to, for a business, the only person I talked to was my wife, my mother, and Cindy Pentecost every day called me to see how my daddy was doing. And she said, I just want you to know I'm praying for you. See, that meant the world to me. to know that I had the flexibility and the time, I could still be sitting there if it would have warranted it. But to know that you had to unplug your best friend in the world other than your wife, because it had come to that particular point, say, I'm an advocate for your health. If you're not doing something to become extremely healthy for your children, I think you really need to think about that, because it's not fair to them. So, you know, we all have it hard. We all go through the same things. Just because you hit a certain level here and the business is so big, don't mean that the adversities don't come. But when you condition your mind and you walk in faith, it's how you handle the adversities that everybody's watching. There's not much more in my life that could get me all upset. I promise you, if we're traveling together and you fell out of the car and cut your leg off, I will not get upset or lose my cool. I'll hold it right there and tie your leg off to the ambulance and say, we might have to get you a wood leg now. But I'm in touch with my emotions. Their emotions out of control. Everything's out of control. And so that's why it's really hard to get me emotionally upset. I've been through a lot of stuff, and I think God allowed that to happen for what's happening now. Because I don't fear anything. I almost died myself. I don't fear death. I don't fear the exit that he chooses to take me out of. But what I am going to do, I'm going to wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. and it's going to be the best day I've ever had. That's my motto. Every day is the best day I've ever had, because it's the only day I've got. If you wake up in the morning, you're waking up with purpose, because he wants you to live up to your full potential. And when you do that, that means you're taking massive radical action, or if you're not doing it, you're taking massive radical excuses. You can't have them both. Take the action. It's a lot of fun. That's where you start getting high on life. And I hope I get you addicted to that drug, because when you get high on life, you make a difference everywhere you go. People can see the difference and they hear the difference in your voice. And when that starts to happen, you're doing one thing. You give people hope and they want to start to follow you. You know why? Because you're different. Anything else I can do for you folks tonight?
You've done so much already. It's been so good. You've got me so inspired. I don't know why do you know why that's doing that?
We are receiving echo feedback.
All right, if you don't mind sending me a copy, I kind of like to listen to this. And if it's okay, I want to put it in another page I got for the North Carolina group, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
perfectly fine. I'll send you over the recording soon. Maria, will you take pics of everybody, you guys? If you will, turn your camera on if you can. I know that some of you guys can't, but turn your camera on. Everybody smile.
Come here, Robin.
Yeah, Robin, get in.
Oh yeah, baby. I gotta have you squeezed up over here, darling.
Maria, get that daughter in the picture. All right.
All
All
right. Thank you so much,
Hey, it's
Rusty
my
and
pleasure.
Robin. Your little input was so sweet.
Thank y'all.
Well, let us know what we can do to assist you and help you, because it's only going to get bigger and better this year. I promise you. I know Mark a long time, and he don't play small. He likes to win big. I promise you.
Well,
All right,
we're
guys.
ready. Our dreams are getting bigger. That's one thing that's really inspired me tonight. I've thought, you know what? My dreams are getting bigger. I started off with big dreams and I've accomplished a lot, but they're getting bigger and we're getting better. So thank you so much, Rusty. You definitely inspired us. It was so good. Love you guys. Thank you, team, for hopping on here tonight. I'll put the recording in the team page. Good night, everybody. Bye, y'all. Thank you so much, Rusty and Robin. So inspiring.
Our pleasure.